In today's video, we sit at a delegation hosted by Geneviève Lajoie in hopes of getting the community's input on the water treatment plant and the future plans for the water quality here in Casselman. We have an opportunity to ask her a few questions about this plan and to ask the feedback from the community members. So to start off today's interview, could you tell us, what are we doing here today?
Today we're going to be speaking to the people of Casselman, so I've opened the council chambers so that people could come share their concerns, their thoughts, their experiences with the water. So ultimately I'd like to bring that to the table at the delegation with Minister Surma.
And what's the problem with the water quality here in Casselman?
There's a high level of manganese in our water. There's also a high level of THMs. So that has created a lot of concern for our residents, especially last summer during the crisis where it was so hot and the water had just evaporated, leaving a high level and concentration of manganese. This summer we were very lucky because there's been a lot of precipitation, so knock on wood for that. Yeah, that's basically what's going on with our water.
And how long has the water quality been decreasing in Casselman?
I don't have those figures, but I think with global warming, I think these small streams do eventually dry up. I don't think this is something we're going to see in our lifetime, but my concern is our generations. I don't want my great-great-grandchildren to be here in Casselman with this problem. I want to solve this problem once and for all.
Yeah. And what is your solution that you're offering to solve this problem?
We're hoping to be able to connect to the Ottawa River. That is a large body of water. So our water here at the South Nation is a stream, and it's created by a whole bunch of streams, way upstream. So it's not led by a large body of water. So any kind of upstream activities could always significantly impact us here in Casselman at any point in time. So this connection is a 22-kilometer pipeline from Casselman to Clarence-Rockland, and that way we'll be able to access the Ottawa River.
And how long should that project take?
I'm guessing roughly about 10 years.
Do you know how much money it will cost?
Roughly $101 million.
And how much are you planning on asking from the Minister of Infrastructure for funding?
We need $75 million in funding. So that could be from the Ministry of Infrastructure. It could also come from the federal levels as well. So we're just looking for any kind of funding support and solution because this water is not a long-term sustainable source. So this project has to happen now, or it will most likely never happen because we won't be able to afford it in the future.
And what will happen to the Casselman's water treatment plant once you do connect Casselman's water to Clarence-Rockland's?
We won't have a water plant. So Clarence-Rockland will be managing all the water filtration. So we will just have an open space where the water plant is now, but that won't be our responsibility.
Okay, and what has the community's reaction been to this news?
So far, it's been very positive. I think people have been wanting a long-term solution for quite some time now, and now we have this solution. So we just need to get the funding in line, and we're ready to get going.
And how will you be treating Casselman's water quality while it is being built? What will you be doing to make sure to maintain it?
We have Bill Delala working on that right now. So luckily a resident did bring information for that contact, and he's been working along with another engineering firm. They've found some technology that will treat our manganese and our THMs for now. So it's a wonderful short-term solution so that people aren't going to have that fear in drinking our water. It'll be a more trustworthy source. And that's pretty much all that we need to do for the next 10 years is just to maintain the quality of water.
Yeah, well, those are all the questions I have for you today. Thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you very much.
Why is it important to show up to these delegations?
You know, I think it's important to share our voices. I mean, municipal affairs and whatever's going on in town is very important because we live here. So I think it's easy sometimes to complain from our couches, but it's not always easy just to show up and talk about things. So I felt compelled to come today because we're talking about the water, and this is something we've been talking about for the past few years. So I thought it'd be a good conversation with the mayor.
Yeah, of course. And why is it important to improve the water quality here in Casselman?
It's a growing town, and there are a lot of people that have invested in Casselman. They believe in this town. It's grown a lot. I've been here for 34 years. My kids grew up here, and I've seen the growth, and I really believe that there is a lot of potential in this town. It's only 30 minutes away from Ottawa. And in order to grow, we need to have a better water system. And it's something that we've talked about for many years, but I think the mayor has brought it to the forefront now.
I run the Casselman Water Quality Group on Facebook. And part of the reason I started that group was because there was issues with the water quality. The manganese level was so bad last year that it was like having a bathtub full of tea, which, you know, shouldn't be coming out of the tap that way. So I started the group as a place for people to document what they were going through. So they would take pictures in real time of how their water looked. People in the past always, you know, first thing you do is go to Facebook and you're like, oh, it's terrible. But this put it all in one place. And I mean, that was my whole reason. It you know, to shine a light on the problem.
And why do you think it's important to show up to these delegations?
Well, sitting on your couch and whining about it isn't going to get anything done. Yeah. And, you know, going to the meetings, going to the delegations, it shows them that you care. It allows you to weigh in. Now, they might take your, you know, look at your opinion or not look at your opinion, but at least you had the chance. But if you're at home talking to your dog, nobody knows then. So it gives, you can't complain about nothing being done if you're not willing to get your hands in there and get dirty to help with the fix.
And what do you think about the mayors of Casselman wanting to link Casselman's water to Clarence-Rockland's?
I think that every solution also has issues because it's costly, or I mean, this is a small town. We don't have deep pockets. So unless we get the right grants and they do the right type of studies to make sure that that is the best solution to the issue, I can see problems with that, but that doesn't mean that that's not the solution to take, because sometimes there's not a perfect solution.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
would you be open to this idea if the mayoress does receive the $75,000 grant from the Minister of Infrastructure?
Well, the most important thing is to get the money. And sometimes with that money, it's earmarked for doing things a certain way. And if that's the way to get the job done, that's the way to get the job done. I mean, we could build a second water plant, but that water processing plant, but that, where do you put it? Where's the land? Like, everything has issues. How do you hook to this other pipeline? Well, you got to go across a lot of land that's not been earmarked for that. So, and it's got to be designed, and it's got to be, you know, like, everything has issues, and all of that takes money. So it's according to where you get the money, what possibly is the best solution.
And overall, what are your thoughts on this matter?
Well, everybody wishes that it would get fixed just like that. And I'm not naive to think that it will be. I mean, myself, me and my spouse went ahead and we put a very expensive filtration system into our house because we understand that it's not going to just get fixed like that. And in the meantime, we want clean water in our home. But we also understand that a lot of people, they don't have that means to get that done. And everybody deserves clean, aesthetically pleasing, aesthetically smelling water.
So any upstream activity could affect our water today. And the Clarence-Rockland is completing their Class CA at the moment, and once we get the funding from the federal and provincial government, we'll be able to commit to that project, and hopefully we'll have shovels in the ground by mid-2025, which is very exciting.
And why is the nation invited too?
Today?
Yeah.
Well, we did a delegation at Roma, and the nation and Clarence-Rockland were at that delegation together.
But the nation has nothing to do with the water here, though, right?
No, but they're getting their water from Clarence-Rockland through the Ottawa River as well for Limoges.
Right.
And so basically, they're going to be twinning a pipe from Limoges to Clarence-Rockland, and then we'll be building our pipe from Casselman to Clarence-Rockland, and that's going to cut down on costs significantly. I think the number is close to $15 million in savings off the $101
The
million.
100 million.
And so the Rockland, you talked about the permit that they're in the process of getting?
The permit?
Yeah?
The EA.
The funding. Oh, the Clarence-Rockland, the
Yeah.
Class EA. So,
Okay.
yeah, so,
What
yeah.
is Class EA?
Class EA is just basically the master plan of all the master plans for their water. And it tells you how much it's going to cost to do what throughout all the length of time that you have to do it. So if Casselman does not commit, then they're not going to be able to pay the extra price for the larger pipe. Because right now, they're only going to build a pipe the size that they need to service themselves. So Casselman, we're going to be putting more pressure on that system, so they're going to need to enlarge their pipe. And that's going to cost money, but they're not just going to
No, of course.
do that without, yeah, so we have to pay our share, and that's where we need the government funding.
And just for background, you said there were 3 options provided. Can you just sort of summarize what those other options were?
Yeah,
So
what-
that was the one that was favored.
Yeah, so there's status quo, so we just stay
Yeah.
the way it is. And if we stay the way it is, then there's no more development, there's no more business development, and Casselman just stays the way it is, right? Yeah, and we just remain stagnant, basically. And there's also the option of going to groundwater. So we would have to negotiate with the nation for land in order to build a water treatment system for groundwater. Mind you, groundwater here is also high manganese as well, because that's just the water table here and the minerals that we have in our soils. So it's not solving that problem. No. And then there's this solution of connecting to the Ottawa River.
And what's so that was clearly presented to council, and
That would be my question too, like
Yeah,
did they all vote on this? Like that's the direction, boom, that's
that
it?
was my question
No,
too.
we haven't voted on it as of yet. That's going to be brought forward to August 27th. Right now, we're just requesting the funding because we need to move forward with this.
and
And what happens if they
Say no.
knock it
Yeah.
down like they do everything you
Yeah.
bring up? Every single thing you bring up, they vote you up.
Everything.
Well, this isn't-
Everything.
This isn't my recommendation. This is a recommendation from J.L. Richards. So we paid a lot of money for those plans. So J.L. Richards has recommended this option, and I'm confident council will follow through on the recommended action.
right.
Well, I don't know. My view is they want the investments for them.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not saying that as a personal dig at them, I'm saying it as
It's what we've
being a
witnessed.
resident in Casselman for 30 years. Finally seeing behind the curtain here a bit, it's not encouraging.
You've been here for 30 years?
Yeah. When I moved here, my water bill was like $6. They said, that'll never go up. Surprise!
Yeah. See, and that's the thing. If we don't get this funding, our water bills will go up to about $8,000.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that's not feasible,
Yeah.
obviously. So,
And this was all presented the last time we talked together too. So everyone knows these numbers. It's not like
right.
something that's appearing out of the air here.
Yeah.
Do you have a sense, well, I'm sure you have a sense of what are people saying on the street?
Nothing.
Well,
Is it being talked about?
No, because the water's not brown this week.
Well, that's what I was gonna ask. Like, is the water brown anywhere in
No,
Casselman
because
now?
we
Right
had
now?
good rain.
we've had a lot of
Because
rain.
Okay.
And so basically there's a lot of water, so there's less manganese.
Yeah.
And, but that's the problem is year after year, we are at the mercy of the weather. We need reliable water and clean, reliable water. And right now with the South Nation River, we'll never have that. And the engineering firm has said that the South Nation is not a sustainable water source.
But it's not just manganese in the water, there's carcinogenics now.
Yeah, there's THMs as well. So short term, Bill Delala, the chemist, has created this wonderful, he's a mastermind. He created some incredible technology for us, and he's working with another engineering firm. Smiths Falls also has a similar chemical concoction that they're using. So they've been helping us as well. So we've been reaching out and using all the resources that we have. And so far the pilot project's working out very well. So I'm hoping by the end of the year, we will have a solution for the manganese and the THMs, which is very exciting.
Yeah.
And it's great because once we get this funding from, I'm saying once because I'm being positive, because this is not a long-term solution, this water. It needs to be changed. But once we do get that, it's going to be 10 years before we could start using that water, right? So from now and those 10 years from now, we're going to have THM and manganese-free water. That's the goal. Yeah.
I imagine there's an environmental committee in Casselman?
We have
A citizen
community
committee?
engagement
Yes.
committee. We
Okay.
do, and I'm big on the environment.
Right.
I sit on the South Nation board, and I'm also on the water advisory committee through the South Nation, where we sit with a whole bunch of stakeholders. There's Indigenous representation, there's farming, community representation. There's everybody, and there we are working on the water source, and I have a motion that I will be bringing forward. I don't want to talk about it until I do that, but I am working hard on that angle to try to ensure that our water is sustainable. Because say if we don't get this funding and we're stuck with this water, then we need to do something today to make it sustainable for 100 years from now. So that means we need to start planting trees. One motion I did bring forward that I could say is, they probably thought I was insane, but India currently holds the Guinness Book of World Records record for planting the most trees simultaneously. So they planted 1,229 trees at the same time. So I put a motion forward at the South Nation, and I want to beat that. And I want all those trees that we plant to be along the South Nation River. So in about 100 years from now, we will have something that's protecting the river, the environment around it, evaporation, and it'll also act as a filtration for the water too, because there's so much agricultural runoff in our water, and there's a lot of chemicals, there's a lot of pollution, and as upstream developments take place, who knows what other chemicals are going to come down.
So one of the topics we were chatting about earlier last week was municipalities that have called for a climate emergency. So we've seen, of course, the first were the big cities, but now we're seeing some municipalities calling for climate emergency. I'm not 100% sure on what that does for the municipalities, but we're looking at 2 weeks ago where we could hardly breathe. It was so hot. Then, the next day you had to put a sweater on, and then we got the rain in one day that we would have in a whole month, and now, and that was just day one, and we're heading towards another heat wave and then more rain. And so we were talking about what are the municipalities doing, because, this whole water issue that you're talking about, you said it earlier, it's climate dependent,
Yes,
so
absolutely.
one day we will have a flood, and 1 year we'll have a flood, and another year we're going to have fires and drought. And so
The last 2 winters, we haven't been able to have ice shacks on the river.
That's
Right.
very scary.
So I was asking about the environmental committee, wondering what's their position on this water issue, because it's definitely an environmental matter. So have they addressed that?
We don't have an environmental committee.
Oh, there isn't. Okay.
No, I'm trying to create
Yeah.
one. Everything takes time in
Yeah.
politics.
Yep.
We do have the horticulture club where we're going to be building a community garden, but in terms of those actions, those are things we do have to look at. The thing is there's so many programs. You know, there's become a bee friendly city, or do this. There's so many programs out there, and we need. You know, one thing I hope through my work at the South Nation is that we could develop a plan that could service all the catchment area of the South Nation, saying that it's this program that's going to work. Because what we need guidance that other municipalities could follow through on, because right now everybody's kind of working in silos. Everybody's
Yes.
kind of working with their own angles, which is great, because the more people, the better. But we need to find a way to break these silos down and all be able to come to the table like this. I mean, maybe we should just have more of these talks and just talk about these scary problems in the world and how we could fix it. Because I am willing to do whatever it takes to fix whatever people want to have changed.
Yeah.
I'm the
think
voice
this is
of
a
the
good
people.
segue, if I can.
Yes,
add.
please.
First of all, Geneviève, I want to commend you for your courage to try to do something about this. I've been in Casselman for about 33 years now.
Okay.
And raised 3 wonderful kids. Now I'm an empty nester. And I remember when I first moved here, people were always talking about the Nation River. How, you know, it wasn't clean, there was always something, and, you know, we're doing the best we can with the filtration plant. I think other mayors have tried, but they didn't entirely put a lot of focus because it's a big job.
Yes.
Right? So I commend you for doing this and taking it on. It's not going to be easy. My father was director of the Eastern Ontario Health Unit. I remember growing up in Cornwall, and he would say, "Oh, la nation," with all the runoff from the farms.
Yes.
And, you know,
Yeah.
and it's hard to bring that good water out of that.
It is.
So trying to make it sustainable, it's important now. And
Yes.
I commend you for the communications that you're doing and all of that. One small thing is that, maybe not small, but the idea that if this doesn't work, it's the, you know, the reputation of Casselman, right? Is anybody going to want to live here with the water?
Yeah.
We're talking a lot about the manganese water, how bad it is. And, you know, I have a house that maybe I want to move out in a few years.
Yeah, well, that's it. And you're
all
not
of
the
that,
first person
right?
to say that.
Yeah, so it's like all of that, we want to ensure that whatever we can do as citizens too,
Yeah.
is there solutions that we can help with. I like your idea of tapping into Rockland. That's makes sense. Of course, the taxes will be raised, right? We'll raise all the taxes because of that. But we can't move forward until we improve it.
Exactly.
And we can't continue to build.
No.
Because it's status quo. And Casselman is very vibrant as a community. So all of that to say thank you for your courage. But yeah.
We have a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
And these conversations are important because it's easy for higher levels of government to just sweep things away when it's on paper, but when it's people around the table sharing their concerns, we can't ignore the voices of the needs of the people.
What about the United Counties of Prescott Russell? I saw a report of, was it the chief operating officers, but, you know, basically one of their priorities was working more collaboratively between municipalities. Has that been, you know, it seems to me if you're supposed to be collaborating, you collaborate at time of crisis. You know, so, well, you could collaborate all the time, but has that been addressed at the counties?
It has. We're working on, right now it's the CAOs that are working on kind of looking at services that we could start sharing to save on costs, so we're not always reinventing the wheel. And then after that exercise is complete, then we will be focusing on a strategic plan. The mayor of Clarence-Rockland, Mario Zanth, has put forward that motion, and I would like to bring that back as soon as possible. So at our next meeting, I will be asking them to kind of give us a timeline on when that's going to be complete, because we need a strategic plan regionally, because we need to look at what the strengths are of all our municipalities, so that when we do these types of delegations, it's not just Casselman with a small population of 4,000. It's Casselman that is a part of this regional beast that is beside Ottawa, and we're serious competitors to Ottawa. And once we get those resources all in line, it's just gonna be wonderful. And Casselman is such a prime location. We're right off the highway. We're I think 57 kilometers from the U.S., 53 kilometers from from
You're between two metropolitans.
Ottawa. Yeah.
We're
So
definitely a hub here.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, you know, you look at places like in Texas and California where their cities dried up because the water source just disappeared, and then the cities just closed down, and we can't have that for Casselman. That's not an option. So we need this connection so that we could continue to prosper and become a serious economic hub.
Yeah.
You know, we have 34 acres right by the highway. The Ford plant brought their business here, so obviously we're a wonderful location for these distribution centers.
Which minister of what?
A Minister of Infrastructure.
Okay.
We're also going to be meeting with the Minister of Health to advocate for the 1 point in the Rio score, so that the medical center could start accessing more funding and grants for more doctors. So we just found that out, I think, last week, that they accepted that delegation, and that's also very good news. So
What do you see the role of, because we're the last community television station east of Ottawa, not counting Cornwall, but that serves in both French and English. Cornwall only serves in English. We're the last community television standing in this area that's bilingual. You know, our mandate is ensuring that we do local civic news, or at least that's one of our mandate. You know, so what do you see the role of a small station like ours being in helping the community? Because we're there as a service.
yeah.
So what do you see the role being while we stay neutral? You know,
Yes,
because
that's-
that's obviously very, very important.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so
I think having these conversations is, I mean, I wasn't expecting this to be happening. And I mean, this is great that it shows responsiveness, right? So that's what community television could provide, is that flexible, adaptable responsiveness. And I think it's important to always ask the politicians the hard questions and always hold them accountable, including me. You know, we have to work together with media to get voices across, but it's important that the voices that are getting across don't just paint one side of the story. You know what I mean?
Yep.
That's my worry and concern working with local medias. I don't want to be seen as trying to feed the media my message. So it's important to always not confront, but to challenge. To challenge. And you know, the thing is what's interesting about mayors is that mayors are human beings. We're not your warship. I mean, it's awkward being called that. We're people. We're just common people who feel that we have to step up and make a change in society. And we don't have all the answers, that we don't have all the knowledge. I mean, I was a child and youth worker and an early childhood educator. This learning about water has been a huge learning curve, and all the other components that go into running a municipality. It's a huge learning curve. So
by yourself.
Mayors,
Yeah.
mayors are as strong as their people. I'm a strong believer in that. I mean, look at Bill Delala. That came from a resident who brought me a contact number that I would have not known how. I don't even think if I did a Google search, I would have found him.
And who is Bill Delala?
He's the chemist who's resolving the issue with our manganese and our THMs.
And is he working through a firm to do this? Or?
No, we hired him to come, and he's working with an engineering firm.
Okay.
And
And what's the
together-
engineering firm?
I can't remember
Okay.
their name.
Okay.
I can't remember their name. See, there's a lot of things that I leave to the CAO
Yep.
because he has
Yep.
all those
Yeah.
technical answers.
Yep.
I think it's XP. Is that?
Okay. And do we see communication being a problem in all of this? Like, because you clearly you've put it out there. We got the memo, you know.
Yeah.
But what do you think, other than, you know, the personality conflicts and that sort of thing, you know, why do you think that people aren't here or did not attend the past ones?
You mean the community?
Yeah, or general. Yeah.
I honestly think they're getting, I've been to every single municipality council meeting. I've stood up numerous times at the end and told them they should be ashamed of themselves, the way one won't even look at her. It's horrible.
Yeah.
And I think
It's a joke.
anyone that comes witnesses that and gets their cues from all these other people instead of even, I can't tell you how many times I've told people to call her. I've walked in there before. I had a huge conflict and walked in. No, you know, we worked it out. No issue. She's very open and honest and willing to have people come, and they're just following a few old school from the old mayor with those 33 charges against him. And
But
it's
she got elected.
yeah,
She got elected. So
Yeah.
why are
because
there
it's a
no,
whole
where is
campaign.
there no one
There's a
else
whole campaign
here?
online. If you go online, you'll see it. If you come to these meetings, you'll see it. It's shameful, and not try to do anything about it. All they did was go on and on and on about the water and the brown water and the health and this, and not one of them came to those meetings that we had, the 4 or 5 meetings before this. It's
And
horrible.
I'm not sure if it's a municipal issue, right? We hear that a lot where sometimes, you know, what affects you the most is where you live in municipal politics. And we're so focused on federal and provincial, and really what influences us every day is municipal politics.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna share my information with them.
Yeah.
Yes,
So that's how it's
absolutely.
gonna work.
But there is a group on Facebook called Casselman Water Quality.
Oh, yeah.
They've got like 1,000 people, and all they do is bash and bash and bash and bash. It's disgusting. I removed myself from it, but it's still open for anyone to see. And where are they? And that happened to be, it was started in my neighborhood in the new development. Where are they? All these people.
Well, they were scared of the water, right? Last year was freaking scary.
It was terrifying for them.
I was here.
That was the worst year I've ever seen.
But they're
for
still
years,
continuing to do
You
it.
know, but it's not dangerous. It's not manganese is gross, but it's not dangerous. It's just, you know, it's not something you want in your town, but it's something that I think, yeah, you're right, though, people should be here and come up with solutions. What are our solutions?
But you know, I think the way that politics is, I think it's built a lot of apathy in people, in society, because people keep trying and trying and trying, and their voices aren't, nobody listens, you know? So I'm really trying to change that, and I think change takes a long time, and it's only been 2 years, so that's, you know, like that's a
It's a
drop
drop.
in the ocean. So I think to try to break through that apathy takes time.
Yeah.
How about the youth? Are you trying to get involved
Oh my
with them in the
gosh.
schools and stuff? Are they
Yes.
active? Are they trying to get back to you and participate in those?
And they'll have
Yeah.
environmental committees at the schools.
That's a perfect, I didn't even think of that
Yeah.
angle.
and maybe like universities, maybe a research project of some kind could help bring attention to the problem.
That's a great idea.
Somebody brought that idea to me. It's just, there's so many ideas. I don't know how to do it all by myself.
Can your council help?
Through my work,
Yeah.
I work for the federal government.
Yeah,
We engage some of the universities too to help us
right.
come up with solutions.
Yeah.
I love that idea.
Brilliant, yeah.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
you get the scientists or science.
It's also a
Yeah,
good
they're-
time of
yes.
year. It's also a really good time of year right now to reach out to them because, they're just starting again.
Yeah, no, it's definitely on my list of things to do, 100%. I just
Yeah.
don't know how to get started. But once I do, I will get started. But yeah, somebody brought that up and said to challenge them to create a solution for the water problem, and yeah, I would, yeah, yeah, and they're just, yeah.
What about having, again, when you reach out to the high schools, they all have to do co-op hours.
Yeah.
So they could be going door to door with their flyers about these kinds of meetings and really getting people
Oh.
coming out,
That's a good idea.
That's a very good idea.
standing at the grocery store, handing stuff out, talking to them.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to create a volunteer program for youth that would work with me. I just haven't figured out in my mind
You
how.
don't even have to do that.
Yeah.
You just,
You
it's,
just go to
it's
the high school.
It's the,
Yeah,
they have to have, as you
40
know,
hours.
you're an
Right.
educator as well. They have to have their hours for the ministry to graduate, so.
Just put a digital sign up
just
in
have
front
to
of
go.
Casselman when you pull into the railroad tracks and you're sitting there.
Yeah.
110 million for water next year. Who wants to listen?
Oh,
You get a big turnout here.
that's a good one.
You just have to go to
Yeah.
the guidance counselor at
Yeah.
the high school.
Let's, yeah. Get
What,
them-
what are you hoping to get from this ministry meeting?
I'm hoping to get a conversation going. I mean, I'm not asking them to, I don't think we fit into any specific type of funding bracket, unfortunately, because
But who's
our needs so
going to
great.
give you the money?
It would be the province. So basically, we're going to have to work out an agreement between the provincial and the federal government to see who's going to give what and how. And it's just a matter of having more conversations after the
But are we
delegation.
meeting with the right people that's
Yes.
going to, okay, good.
Yeah, yeah.
Didn't
Minister
you
Stern is
ask them
great.
before and they said no?
They didn't say no, they just said, we didn't fit into their funding at that time. Yeah, put your name on the list. But we didn't fit into the funding at that time, because right now the province is giving $35 million max. We need $75 million. And so we need the federal government and we need the provincial government sitting at the table together, working together with the municipalities to find a solution. That's the only way that we're ever going to get traction.
And
And
just
just-
when you're doing these types of applications, it's a checklist type thing too, right? So they prioritize
Yeah.
where the funding is going to go,
Yeah.
depending on.
They want to bang for their buck.
Yeah, so I
Yeah.
mean, if this is, they say, okay, well, there's the health element. There's the fact that the municipality is growing, tax dollars, they're attracting more to do anything. So
With the
Yeah,
reservation.
yeah.
So I think I would think that that would be an important priority.
Yeah,
Would be
absolutely.
Up there as a growing community.
Yeah. No, I think we're definitely prime.
And if it doesn't happen, devil's advocate, then there's no growth here at all.
Yeah, then we go down the list and we look at groundwater
Yeah.
wells. And we just
No
kind of work.
swimming pools anymore.
Well, with that way, I mean, the water conservation bylaw that we've implemented, that will never go away. We're always going to have to be conserving our water because we can't treat those chemicals fast enough to put it out in the system. We have enough water in the South Nation to service all the growth and population that we want. It's just we can't treat it fast enough. And we don't have enough space to create more water towers to be able to hold more water either. So we're kind of stuck with what
There's
what
no
we have.
space to build more water towers
No, where the water treatment
Yeah.
plant is.
where the water treatment.
Yeah, we can't build more.
You can't
lagoons,
move
we
it or
can't.
relocate it.
I think the CAO mentioned all of that, and
Yeah.
there's no land
Yeah, there's
for the amount they need. And then they talked about going to Chrysler
yeah.
and having it there, and there was issues with that in all the previous meetings that you had.
Yeah, yeah, because going to groundwater is going to require a lot of
'Cause I've heard this
multi.
discussion before, like 25 years ago.
Oh, have you?
Yeah, with lemon and all that.
Oh, really?
I remember the water treatment plant being too small.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
The last mayor, did he have a plan for the water? Some kind, did he start
Some
something?
sort of plan, they
Yeah.
knew it was an issue.
Yeah.
I remember these conversations many, many times.
Well, I lived here for 30 years, and really the first time it's really coming to a head is this year.
It's been a discussion for a while.
But nothing really comes to fruition.
Yeah.
The last mayor put a pipe in and a pump that wasn't strong enough, so we blew like 2 million or more
Okay.
on that. And then it was kind of like, let's make it look good and sweep it under the carpet, walk away.
Band-aid on it.
Yeah, but sometimes, you know, these challenges are so big, and like I said, mayors are people, councils are people, and
Yeah.
they're limited with the information that they have. So, I mean, you know, I'm sure everybody did the best that they can with the information that they had at the time, and you know, we could just move forward. That's all
Yes,
you can do. You
exactly.
could only be here in this present moment and move forward, because going backward is kind of,
No.
it's
There's
not
no
going to
point.
get us anywhere, you know?
Yes.
You know, so you just celebrate their small
Like
wins.
you're gonna talk about a little bit more.
We're quite passionate about anything regarding sustainable development. And so for us, it's definitely a matter that, you know, we want to hear more about. And Geneviève was nice enough to come and visit us at the studio. We're starting to engage more with all of the elected officials who will come, who will take part. And yeah. Yeah, so we're certainly very interested in, you know, part of our mandate, as I said, is addressing civic matter. And this is definitely a civic local matters. And this,
I really want to hear what the people in the communities have to say, because really they're the ones who are going to know what the problems are.
Yeah.
Just like I'm not from Rockland, Clarence-Rockland, I'm from Ottawa.
Okay.
So I don't really know the problems here, but I just moved to Rockland.
now you're a
right now.
Rockland boy.
So I want to learn what the problems are and how can we help by just communicating those messages
Exactly.
to everyone, really, so that people can get together to fix those. Because,
Exactly. We need to mobilize people.
Yeah.
People need to stop being apathetic, and they need to start speaking out and speaking up and fighting for things that they want. And I'm here to facilitate those voices. So it's great that you're doing that, and to always remember to challenge us as politicians, because we need to be challenged. I like being challenged, because sometimes you have perspectives in your mind that, well, maybe you need to see something differently from another angle, and that's why I like.
But
this
he's got
game.
a point, like he's saying, I want to know what the issues are.
Yeah.
Right? And if nobody shows up, well, then we've got a very small minority
Yeah.
talking about it.
in
I learned
itself
about
is
this
an
problem
issue.
yesterday.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
before
it's been all
that-
over. I mean, it's
Yeah.
spotted. Like, you know, the way the news is today is there's a lot of collection. It's a puzzle, right? A lot of little pieces. I started my career as a journalist, so there's a lot of little pieces of a puzzle. And I think it's even worse now, right? You got to go and dig and find out. But yeah, I think I don't know why there isn't more. I think you just have to keep trying.
Oh, yeah.
Just keep setting up these meetings.
It just takes
And,
time. It takes time,
Yeah.
and building
even
trust.
If you get a little by little, you know, I think.
Well, I'll take this. This is great.
Yeah.
This is wonderful.
Sometimes people want to be anonymous. This is very in your face.
It is, yeah.
It also takes courage to show up.
It does.
Because you're putting your face out there.
That is.
So sometimes anonymous is easier.
Do you record your town hall meetings live?
No, I've put frequent requests to start recording it, but we're planning on moving to another building, and so
Okay.
investing in that technology to do that, and then having to repay for it once we move. But my husband's at the point where he just wants to bring a GoPro and start recording it and put it on my Facebook himself, because it's important for people to have access to
Well, I was also wondering, you know, if like a meeting like tonight, could we have had more people, could you have had more people if it had been some
It could have,
virtually as well?
Yes,
You know,
definitely.
and so
And more
that,
accessible, because not everybody has cars, not
well,
everybody,
I
they have
think we,
children.
there's twofold, you know, there's the very young families, as you said, with children, and then there are the aging population who can't get around as easily
Yeah.
anymore,
Yeah,
you know,
that's it.
and so I'm just wondering if those are options.
Yeah, no, they definitely are, and I have to learn how to be better on with technology. It took me years to figure out Facebook, and you know, I could have just easily put up my computer, and I didn't think of it. I have to create that. See, that's a good challenge. You should challenge me to do that next time. I could have just easily done that, and it's not part of my thinking. So I have to start training myself to do that. And you're right, it should be more accessible.
The delegation ended with a lot of comments and feedback from the community towards the mayoress on how she should act about the water quality here in Casselman. For more news on this matter, please subscribe to our social medias and check out our YouTube channel.